Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. It's the end of the year and I'm doing something special edition. I'm going to extract some of the supposedly well-known quotes by President Xi, the country leader in China, to kind of close the year because the U.S.-China tension, surged in the past few years. And I think it will be of interest, and this is a showing language, contemporary Chinese used in action and in this context of political speeches. And for the most part, Chinese country leaders, they speak from pre-written, pre-edited, pre-approved scripts. They don't speak their minds, seldomly. So these are probably pretty well in line with their political standing. So there was nothing exactly like off the cuff kind of expression. Today's speech was made in 2009. So again, this was before Xi was elected as the country leader, and he was visiting the Chinese community in Mexico and made such a speech. So it's one of probably more colloquial expressions and then one that's more strongly worded expressions, because as to give you a context of so this year in one of Biden's speeches, Biden used dictator on Xi, right? And China, of course, respond to that strongly. But then back in 2009, in Xi's speech, at that occasion, is facing Chinese overseas in Mexico, he was kind of accusing the West in general and America in particular, because he was in Mexico, and so America is right north up there, was talking about Westerners, Western media, made comments on Chinese political operations. Like, it's none of your freaking business. That's the tone. And then here is his argument. He has arguments of why you shouldn't even meddle or say anything about China's political proceedings. Because China, for one, 中国一不输出革命. China, first, we do not export revolution. Second, we do not 二不输出饥饿和贫穷. Second, we do not export hunger and poverty. And third, 三不去折腾你们. We didn't mess up with you at all. Like, why you're messing up with us? Like, by commenting how we should conduct our business. It's literally none of your business statement back. Right, so I can imagine he probably can use the same line in response to Biden's dictator comment on his governing style. Okay, let's get back to one by one. 中国一不输出革命. So we all know China call themselves 中国, means Middle Kingdom, because it's a geographically centric and culturally centric viewing China as the middle of the world, and all else connect to us as if we're the center of the spoke. Everything else around the globe is, rotating around us. I mean, that's that's pretty narcissism, right? But that was in the language, and that was the point of view. Just like, the Earthlings, right now we think probably we're the center of the universe, right? It's naturally to think that way because this is our point of view. So I'm not going to go too deep about that, but we just say we don't say number one. 第一, we just say 一 in here, because here he's going into a litigation of a list of points of arguments of why the Western shouldn't, even spend time commenting on Chinese business. So the number one come up, and he just used 一. 一 means one, but in English, we have a distinguishment of one versus first, right? First means sequentially, it's the first one come up instead of just a numerical one. But in Chinese, we don't really, do that. We just use yi. So the first thing come up, like number one, that's the first thing. I mean, logically, it fits, right? You don't have to distinguish the first and one. You understand it contextually. Okay, 不输出革命, 不 negation, 输出 export. Okay, and 革命 is revolution. Okay, so 革命. I want to highlight this 命. 命 in Chinese means life. 命 in Chinese also means destination or destiny. Okay, destiny. This prescribed life, like you already have your script pre-written somewhere before you even get your input in there. Like you're already decided on your track. That's the Chinese sense of 命, and it's expressed in this way. So this triangle thing, again, that means gathering. And or it can mean a political structure because we have a tip, we have a top, and then we have a base. This top is going to be the fewer people who are on the tip of the pyramid, so to speak, right? And then the base is the majority who are going to be following whatever the tip is telling them to do. That's a power structure simplification. I'm not sure the language creator back then think about the pyramid, which was the political science visualization of the power structure later on. So, I mean, I guess it was not likely they have such a view of this pyramid power structure. But I noticed this triangle symbol pair a lot with this power relationship, because the power comes with this mouse symbol, means someone who tell you what to do, and this people hunching side views kind of like look like this. It's this kind of hunched human figure. Side view is like obedience. So somebody is saying something, somebody is doing something accordingly. So that's like a following the order. And under this blessing of power structure, that means you follow life's order. You follow your destiny. That's Chinese 命. And 革命 simply means you. Okay, revolution, Chinese translated as 革命, that means change your destiny. I mean, how charming that is, right? Especially in a narration of, if you don't really like the life, how it's going, then let's change it. That's what 革命 is about. It's rewritten your script. Okay. 二不输出饥饿和贫穷. So number two, again, we use two instead of, we just use two. You see, two horizontal lines, that's two. And we don't have to come up with a different word that is second to mean it's the number two. Okay, you see what I'm getting? Okay, 不输出, same structure. We're not exporting hunger and poverty, because China was, like before the establishment of Chinese regime, and even before the opening up of China to the outside world, right? China was like in deep, deep trouble, was super poor, especially actually during the years of reign by communism ideology, because they know how to 革命, they how to change your script of destiny, but they don't know how to exactly replace it with a better script. So they kind of made a big mess from the era, like 1950s to the end of 1970s. They try out the government of this huge country, but then hunger and poverty was a common scenery back then. And then they blame on the population, like high population. So then the strategy came down to one-child policy. Okay. So 贫穷 and 饥饿 was viewed in Xi's point of view as, okay, well, the third world country, we had a huge population, we have a lot of mouths to feed. So we are not really asking for donations from the West. Like, we're not asking you to sponsor us food. And we're not exporting our poverty to kind of like We didn't export our poor to your country, right? We didn't occupy your land because our people cannot feed themselves here, right? That's the second argument. So hunger and poverty was used here as the argument of we keep our balance here. Therefore, we didn't export our trouble, economic trouble and demographic trouble to you, right? So I here used 和 highlight this one character. In Chinese, it's mouse symbol, which you've seen in the previous page. But here, the mouse doesn't mean giving orders, speaking. It's not the person in power, so to speak, but it's more like the mouse you need to feed. Then 和 is the crop symbol, which, you know, have the canopies and then have the crop dropping on the tip of the matured, like ready to harvest type of crop, right? So that's a visualization of when it's ready to be harvested, and then that's how it will look. And this is the root of the plant on the under the ground. So this 和, this crop, and 口, this mouse, together means and. So in English, we have and. That's kind of an abstract word. It's more like a logic word. It's a connecting A and B, right? It's like connecting. It doesn't really have its own meaning. But in Chinese, we have mouse and crop. That actually means at peace or balance. Because I guess from the language creator's point of view, when you say, when you want to make peace, express this peace or balance concept. This mouse means consumption of food, and crop means food. This production and consumption balance is the way language creators put together. That means, oh, this is something in balance. And also 和 eventually means and. That means you have to have this consumption and production combined to operate as a civilization. Like you have to have the mouse there to consume the crop, and you have to have the crops to be planted or grown to be able to feed the mouse. So this is a co-habit, codependent, okay, relationship. So that's language creators' point of view. So it can mean in harmony, like in balance means balanced, and it can mean and means you have to have the two components. You cannot miss one because otherwise it's going to be imbalanced. Okay. So that's 和. That's the second argument. The third argument is 三不去折腾你们. Okay, third. So when in English, okay, in English we talk about other. Other is, if I may, otherization of another culture, tribe, human species, or however category you want to put them. You otherize, you alienate. So that's when you kind of can justify your treatment to the other, because it's the other is not one of you. So you kind of separate the two, right? Easily. So here in Chinese, we don't use other, we use 你们, kind of finger pointing like right back at you, like like that. 你 actually in Chinese have this human figure. This is the two legs standing human figure. And then the right side actually means speaking. This vertical line is the jet of air coming from the lung, projecting over to the space to whoever is listening to your speech. And then this two side ones means the air flow together from the middle jet, but together with the twirls of the language, that gives you this sense of air projecting over. And this line is our mouth, lips, teeth, blockers of the airflow. So that is a Chinese way to give you this projection of this speech-making mechanical part. and using that to mean I, as the language user or the speaker, I'm projecting my words out toward you. So whoever is the listener is the you. You, in this context, means in conversation, I'm the speaker, and whoever is the listener is considered the you. I mean, isn't that true in English as well? Like you only exist in the context of the speaker and the listener, and the you is actually the listener. So that's how Chinese express 你, and Chinese is concept of other as 你们. So 你们 and 我们 means we, and then 你们 means you. So this otherness was expressed by 你们. So that's his 3 argument back in 2009. That we didn't export revolution. We didn't try to rewrite your script of destiny. And we didn't export hunger and poverty to you. We feed our own mouth. We didn't trouble you financially. And we didn't mess up with you. Like we didn't really commenting and finger pointing at you, which is not true, of course, right? So they are mutually commenting. I mean, this ideology war of capitalism and communism, this media war has been going on for decades. We all know that, right? So it's so his 3rd argument is we didn't really mess up with you. We didn't, commenting on you. We didn't say you're dictators, right? So that's the unsaid line over there, but you can fill all kinds of blanks over there. So that's 3 arguments of why it's none of the Western media's business to comment on Chinese domestic politics. Okay, so here I want to capture just the number 1 argument, 输出革命, export revolution. I want to point out like this face. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Okay, sorry about that. I'm bad at pronouncing his name. But this is a face that become a symbol for revolution or for counterculture kind of resistance to oppressions, right? So this becomes a revolutionist face, poster child, so to speak. And me came from communism country, came from a country that's built on revolution, right? And born right after the Cultural Revolution era. I should know this revolution poster child face, right? But in fact, in China, I never saw this face at all. It was not on our propaganda, not in our everyday lingo or icons. I don't know exactly why. I can only speculate, because in China, communism was the poster child of the communism ideology is Chairman Mao, of course. So he is the face that used as the ideal, the lifestyle rescripting author of how we should build this communism utopia, right? So that's probably why, like, you cannot have a foreign face which looks more handsome than Chairman Mao's chubby face, right? Sorry about that, but just that's also probably why his face become revolutionist. The face is because his face looks like a revolutionist, like a high testosterone male kind of face who is anti-authority. It has its sex appeal, but on the barometer of sex appeal, like Chairman Mao has no way to compete with this Western face. So I'm guessing that's why it was never, Chinese audience was never exposed to this image. And I only came to see this icon when I moved to America. So that's 输出革命. And this was interesting how this revolution used by different regimes and especially communism tied them with revolution. And I mean, there we go. That's the second Xi's quotes. All right, cash into the currency of thinking by one word a day with Sophie. See you next day.